we call this a coup d'etat, or the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund has found a new favorite. Aside from yelling "LIV is his baby," every other arrangement depicts that although LIV Golf is still his baby, it's quite unfortunate that we can't say the same about the CEO and the league players. It's been over a long year that LIV Golf has been forcing itself into the golf industry, and everyone, both leaders, players, associates, and fans, developed bile towards this breakaway team for one reason. Do you know why? The Roman numeral League 54 has been sponsored and controlled at the beckon of the same Saudi Arabians who are allegedly responsible for the 9/11 attack. The deadliest terror attack on American soil in the history of the United States, this attack led to the death of over 3,000 American citizens. If that's not enough reason to lock out on LIV Golf, then we don't know what will. As it stands, both PGA players, fans, and the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Department of Justice Antitrust Division is heavy on the merger between the 9/11 supporters and the PGA Tour officials. Nobody saw that part coming. While the Union for Newco, which is going to be the new name for the merger, is still in process, it has been proven that during the tour negotiation, the PGA Tour officials have managed to beat Greg Norman to it as the CEO of the LIV Golf League. From the documents released by the U.S. Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, it is being proposed that the LIV teams will take a new dimension of ownership. That has just made a big headline. Maybe this will kick Greg Norman out of the picture. Who knows? The proposal says that two biggest PGA Tour loyalists, Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, will be the new head of the LIV Golf team. Seems like a dark moment for the former CEO and LIV defectors. Now they know who the boss is. A part of the same document released by the subcommittee exposed that the root work of this union was initiated long before the year started. In November 2022, Rory McIlroy made a visit to the chairman and governor of the Saudi Arabia Investment Fund, Yasir Al Rumayyan, in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. The result of their closed-door meeting is part of what we will be talking about today. The North Irish golfer McIlroy, who is also a member of the PGA Tour's policy board, now has a vote as a member of the board in the new entity whether the proposed partnership will ultimately go through or not. McIlroy, having accepted to be a major part of LIV Golf as the new owner but refusing to play for the league, insisted on only participating in major tournaments with which he would be comfortable. A background investigation run by the U.S. Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations showed a series of undiscovered emails flying back and forth between PGA Tour Policy Board Chairman Ed Herlihy and board member Jimmy Dunn, conspiring to oversee the going forward of LIV Golf. Herlihy told Dunn in one of his emails, "Jimmy, I raised the idea with Jay of you overseeing LIV going forward. He really liked it." Dunn replied, "You and me," to which Herlihy responded, "Definitely." You might think the conversation unearthed so far is the whole story, but brace yourself for what's coming next. Bruce Devlin, a golf course designer and sportscaster, revealed to Dunn that Al Rumayyan and Amanda Staveley, a right-hand man to Al Rumayyan, also chief executive of international private equity firm PCP Capital Partners, invited him specially for some intellectual discussion on the compatibility of the two rivals. In Devlin's writing, he said he had helped Staveley facilitate the PIF's takeover of English Premier League soccer team Newcastle United. Does that mean he will also facilitate them to take over golf? In the email, Devlin allegedly claimed that Al Rumayyan was prepared to establish a substantial equalization fund for PGA Tour loyalists only, while LIV players will be admitted to PGA tournaments and recover world ranking points, as well as compete in Ryder's Cup, President's Cup, the Masters, and other big tournaments that they got rejected from. In the same email to Dunn, Devlin claimed he had helped arrange for McIlroy to meet with Al Rumayyan in Dubai the previous month, knowing that McIlroy had been one of the moving forces in the PGA Tour LIV Golf contest. Devlin wrote, "His Excellency has great ambitions to support, grow, and modernize the sport, and is clearly well equipped to fund these goals. He has been frustrated by his inability to engage constructively with the PGA Tour. Rory made it clear that in accepting the meeting, he was speaking only for himself, although he believes that his views are broadly shared by Tiger and the other top players, He also emphasized he was seeking no personal financial gain, he was simply trying to unify the game. What an excellent intention just for the game, but the obvious is unspoken about. Following the emails obtained, you can see how uninterested Dunn was about the offer until Devlin began to persuade and gave him reasons why merging with the PIF would be a good idea not only for golf, but also PGA Tour. In one of his emails to Dunn, Devlin said, "The Saudi position is hardening as they are confident LIV will prevail over the long term, if only because of almost limitless financial resources." His only fear was that PGA loyalists would lose everything as the Saudis were prepared to reimburse another $5 billion on LIV Golf. If you've been around golf for the past year, you know very well that this is not an affront at all. In a matter of months, there began an initiation of ideas, first with Dunn initiating contact with Al Rumayyan over WhatsApp, and WhatsApp conversation grew into a physical, potent discussion in London around the end of April. The meeting was graced with the presence of Herlihy, Stavely, another PCP Capital Partners executive, and other PIF representatives, and the rest is history. In conjunction with the side letter leaked framework agreement, it is clearly instructed that Norman and Performance 54, their London-based marketing and consultant group who are in control of the LIV Golf League's affairs this season, step down once the proposed partnership is finalized. But in an attempt to save face, an official of the LIV Golf told ESPN that although these proposals have been made, the PIF officials have rejected the idea of removing Norman and Performance 54 as the managing body for the affairs of their team. So far, we have seen there are arrangements made to fill in for the new administration of LIV Golf, but nothing for the Great White Shark, except that Norman will now be the responsibility of the PIF and will only be assigned to an advisory role when the PGA Tour becomes the manager of the LIV Tour. The two-time Open winner and former #1 Norman has announced to his staff and players that the LIV Golf League is now a standalone entity due to the new merger deal between their financial support system, PIF, and the PGA Tour. Notwithstanding, there are still plans to play in 2024 and beyond. Too many uncertainties from this big issue led to an interrogation with the subcommittee chairman, Richard Blumenthal, on whether Norman was out of a job. Here's the bombshell you never thought about. According to the PGA Tour Chief Operating Officer Ron Price, he said that if the Tour and the PIF complete their business deal, the Tour would control LIV, and Norman's job would be eliminated. The announcement of this merger has caused different reactions and some heavy scrutiny by the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Department of Justice Antitrust Division, which was already examining the PGA Tour's alleged monopolistic business practices. Human rights groups and survivors and families of victims of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks also have criticized the PGA Tour for doing business with the Saudi Arabian monarchy. Even the chairman gave his honest remark on the issue, which is now sounding a warning bell to all PGA officials. Today's hearing is about much more than the game of golf, Blumenthal said. It's about how a brutal, repressive regime can buy influence, indeed even take over a cherished American institution simply to cleanse its public image. LIV Golf went short-sighted to what the Saudi Arabian had in store because of money, now PGA Tour, the least expected tour. From the proposal revealed to the public, which combines the commercial activities of the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and PIF in a new for-profit enterprise called NewCo, it is repeatedly emphasized that the PGA Tour will control the majority interest in the new entity NewCo, regardless of the size of the PIF's investment. And, on the other hand, the PIF will make an initial investment into NewCo of about $1 billion and have the right of first refusal to make additional ones. Monahan will serve as the CEO of the new entity, and Al Rumayyan will be chairman, coupled with another 10 board members from PGA Tour. In his prepared statement to the subcommittee, Dunn emphasized that the PGA Tour will control all forms of strategic and operational matters related to every men's competition in golf under the agreement, and the PGA Tour will be paid for their services as well. So far, we know that Jay Monahan will be active for a very long time in the new golf world, and the future of both LIV Golf and the Great Shark depends on Monahan's ability.